We are recording, so just so those of you in the room know as well, if you say something, you might get included in the recording, but you are more than welcome to ask questions when you need to. And we have several of our district colonels here, so we're gonna have them each introduce themselves here in a minute. I know a lot of you already, but my name is Allison Harrison. I am the staff advisor for Popcorn. Also, if you have not signed in yet, we've got sign up sheets over there. So if you've got any updates to contact information or anything, we will be using that stuff as we send updates throughout the sale. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Tammy Walters. I'm in Troop 413 over in Greenville, and I go with him. He does my bidding for me.
Three Rivers. So that's 413, that's 212 here. So there's Three Rivers, you'd be talking to us or.
So it's Clark Walters.
Matt Conway, I am with Pack 405 and Troop 504. I'm a Princess Anne District Colonel. And yeah.
I'm Krista Dunn. I'm not with the pack or a troop, but I am your Virginia Beach and Norfolk Bayside District Colonel.
I'm Scott. I go along with her. Well, kind of with this one. So I'm also Bayside with Pack 620.
And I'm Erin Alford. I was formerly the Bayside District Popcorn Colonel. Pam is now District Executive, so I am now the Council Popcorn Colonel.
Woohoo! I'm shadowing Allison, so I'm a little mini Allison.
She could not get away from it.
Yeah, I guess not.
So she is the Princess Anne District Executive now.
She's new.
Still feel free to ask her all of your popcorn questions.
All calls go to Erin.
Well, we always ask that you go straight to your district reps first, and then they'll come to me for council. Otherwise, I have a whole lot of people coming to me first. And that's why they're here. All of our district representatives are here to be support for our units, right? Last year, we had a phenomenal selling year. Really the last few years, we've been doing great. And really, first of all, I want to thank everybody that's here, because that means that you've made a commitment to making sure that you continue on, making this program continue on and making it affordable for our scouts, right? Because that's, at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do is making scouting affordable. That's what the popcorn sale is about. Bottom line, making it affordable for our scouts to continue scouting so we can have this program. So let's give you a round of applause. Right, and then the second point, besides for making it affordable, I also want to say, and this is something I think we sometimes forget towards the, as the season goes on, without our family support of this popcorn sale, we could never do it. So you guys are the boots on the ground, making sure that everything is organized for your units, and that is a huge job, and we totally understand that, right? Every single one of us here has been part of that in some scope. And we've been, helping with units, and we've been district popcorn colonels at some point. But without the support of your families who support you, the sale would never happen. So please remember, as the sales season goes on, please make sure that you constantly are thanking your families who are the ones that are supporting you with their scouts. But again, this is our way to make scouting affordable for our families. We've seen the way inflation has affected pricing and how unaffordable life continues to get. And a lot of these families need it more than we even know. So this is a super important task that you guys have taken on. And as a council, we really, really appreciate everything that you do. I know that you're taking time out of your day to be here with us. We appreciate that. Several of you, and I've seen many of your faces multiple times. Hi, Andrew. And you come back out here to help out with when we get order deliveries. We appreciate that. When you guys communicate on our Facebook page to start trading within the units, to fill dates that are needed. All of those things, our sale would not be as successful as it is if you guys weren't jumping in and doing those things. So thank you very much for that. But the most important person that we need to hear from, who hasn't introduced themselves, nobody.
Hello, everybody. Did you guys all get introduced, everybody? Okay, good. Hey, guys, I'm Tony Montemurro. I'm one of the Princess Anne District Colonels. My apologies for being late. Rough day at the office today. So let's get started. First of all, how many colonels? I'm just trying to get a feel for the room. How many colonels do we have? And what about treasurers? Committee chairs? Anybody else I didn't call? What position are you?
I'm technically listed up here.
Okay, that's fine, good. So my point with that is, right, we kind of all benefit from popcorn, right, in some way. So the 101 was developed, it's not really the training for the season, it's more the training to give you guys a fundamental knowledge if you have no idea about popcorn or what it's about and things like that. Anyway, does anybody have any questions before we get started? All right. I gotta click. Oh, it didn't work. Okay. All right. Okay, so these are some of the objectives of the course, and I'm going to take up as little time as I can. By the way, this is like my favorite thing I do in scouting. I do a lot of stuff, but for those of the seasoned folks in the room, yeah, I really enjoy giving this training. So I'm going to try to be very to the point and brief, but we'll see what happens. So we're going to talk about why we sell popcorn, right? And then I asked about who's who in the zoo, understanding the budget and its role in the popcorn sale. So that's really important. And some of this stuff was developed because of what I've seen in the past and my learning experience coming up through scouting. I wasn't an Eagle Scout. I got into Scouts because my kids were doing it, and so it was a big learning curve for me. And I really saw how poorly it was being done in a certain unit. Put anybody on blast. So what happens before the popcorn arrives, and then after it arrives, and what do we do then? We're going to talk about personal sales, different types, and we're going to talk about how to set up a show and sell. So by the end of the class, the show and sell is not a big deal. After this course, in the past, people have said, hey, can you talk more about setting up a show and sell? So we're going to talk about it here. And if you have any questions, please ask. As a matter of fact, if you have any questions about anything while we're going over, feel free to raise your hand. And I'd like to talk about it right there as we're discussing it. So, and then as a colonel, what are you going to do for your families? Doing your kickoff and your taste testing event. And then the question I get from most new colonels is, how much popcorn do I need to order? And then how we accept electronic payments, some tools available, the Facebook page. You're going to hear that a lot. Popcorn, Tidewater Council Popcorn Colonels Facebook group. Okay, if you get nothing else out of this course, set up an account on that page. And so as the Scouts sell popcorn, you'll get prizes from the council and prizes from the popcorn company. But there's also incentives that you guys can do in your unit in between those different amounts that they get the prizes from the other groups. So unit incentives, we'll talk about those. And then can't stress communication enough. Always, talk to the colonels in the room for your district. They're your first line of defense. And then of course up the chain of command as we need to. All right. Let's go work. Yes. All right, so why we do it? The main reason we do it is to raise money. This is our biggest fundraiser. And we have one of the highest commissions, if not the highest commission. I'm not sure what everybody's got, but our commission is 40%. And that's a lot higher than a lot of other councils out there. And we're going to talk about that and how we keep our commission high, I think, or it's the other trend. Anyway, so that's the main reason we do it, right? So what are some of the other benefits of selling popcorn? Well, first of all, the Scouts earn prizes, and a lot of this is built on the Cub level philosophy, right? Because once the kids get a little bit older, sometimes they kind of drift away from popcorn. But the little cute ones, they can sell it. So it helps, and this is really, again, if you're thinking about this, is more from a Cub perspective. But those kids build camaraderie as they work together. They can learn communication skills. They get rejected and then still say thank you and, things like that. So, and it's also about, earning their own way. And then that whole thing will build a foundation for their Eagle project. And then for soliciting for funding and things like that. And then there's also advancement requirements that are both PAC and troop level. But we'll talk about those, and that's the Cub Scout advancement. We can read some of that. So the lion, tiger, wolf, bear, webelos, all of them have something, hit the webelos real quick, art explosion, create a piece of art to display at your show and sell with pencils, digital imagery, paint, or mixed media. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but they are in the books. And those are the newest ones that are out there. And then for the troop, let's just pick graphic arts, design a poster to use for use during your popcorn sale, follow the various steps described for one of the printing methods to produce copies of the poster. So journalism, movie making, plant science, truck transportation, it's all related, different merit badges that are all related to popcorn. Yep.
I figured I'd just make a comment about the troop, because I have a son at the troop level, right? Salesmanship, actually, if you look, I am a salesmanship merit badge counselor, because my day job is I'm a realtor, which is salesmanship, right? What I will say is, if you need a salesmanship merit badge counselor, not that you call units, or if you have one that you can contact, that is phenomenal for planning out your selling season. So if you're at the troop level, look at the salesmanship merit badge. Because they really do, they have to come up with their own plan, figure out how they're gonna raise the funds, what kind of funds they're gonna raise, and plan all the activities that go along with your selling season. And I'm sorry to jump in there, Tony, but
You're good.
I just wanted to mention that with the salesmanship, it pairs so well with selling that it's phenomenal. And then if you have, I will say that really at the troop level, you can still have phenomenal sales. I have a boys and a girls troop, and last year we did almost $60,000 in sales at the troop. And I will say that sometimes we paired with our cubbies too. So when we had our feeder pack, has some younger sibling scouts, and sometimes we paired with them, and then you get the cute little ones and the effective communicating older ones, and it makes a great sales team. So it's just something to think about.
I was asking, am I good with the camera? Like, I don't know how, I don't want to like overwhelm. Because I'm going back and forth. Okay. Well, that's all right. Forgive me online there for the folks online. By the way, for the folks online, nice to meet you guys. Sorry, I'm back and forth through past the camera. So, so popcorn, again, it's our biggest seller, and it's a council sponsored sale. Now, I don't work for the council. Matter of fact, I don't even have my gray things on, but the council benefits from popcorn as well. How many have gone to PepsiCo? Okay, how many? So most people in the room, for those online, hopefully you do too as well. You've seen some improvements over the years, hopefully. Now a lot of that is, that money comes. Look, I'm not the money guy, right? But money goes into a pot, and part of that money is popcorn. It's also Friends of Scouting, but there's a lot of money being spent at PepsiCo, and there's a lot of improvements being made. And this is the 21 to 22. This came from summer camp at the leaders meeting. Total of $269,000 in camp projects and improvements. And we don't have the most recent. Okay, that's okay. But again, it was again in 23, same thing, more improvements. And one of the things is these 10 platforms that are being built. The money was being spent, by the wood. Volunteers set it up. We got a whole bunch of new tents. There's some of the old scrap, just to get a feel for that. I mean, that's maybe a couple sites. That's not a whole lot right there. But out with the old and in with the new. And then that's for those of you that haven't been up there in a while, that's the pool house. They took the open bay showers and they're converting it now, and you've got the 1, 2, 3.
It's 9.
This, yeah. So somebody said it. Okay. Yeah, so individual showers now, it's a streamlined process getting kids through so they can just rinse off in certain areas. But that's a pretty cool looking project. And that's supposed to be up by summer camp. And that's just one of the interior spaces. You don't need to be a plumber, but you got your toilet pipe at the bottom and your sink and shower. So if you haven't been there, it's an enclosed one room with a sink, toilet, and shower all in one space. So Okay, any questions so far? Lion by the seat of our pants. All right, so the budget. You're in the end, your scouts have to have a goal, right? Most parents want to say, or they'll ask you, hey, what do I need? How much do I need to sell to get my kid from August to June or whatever, right? How do I do that? And so a lot of them want to know what the cost is going to be. And if you guys are setting up your budget and you've got to cover all your expenses, and I don't want to get too much into the budget, but the budget's going to cover your unit activities for the year. And that includes everything. I mean, if you're making copies, if you're printing things out at your house, then put your ink on there. If you're printing stuff out for scouts, put your ink as a cost in your budget, right? Help people pay for that stuff. We talked about unit incentives. We haven't really discussed it here, but if you want to do a grab bag for your unit and you want to go to the dollar store, you want to go to Five Below or whatever, and you're going to spend $50 on, put that $50 in your budget. The kids are selling, get their own prices. They don't know that. They don't need to know that, but that's the bottom line. If more money, the money coming in has to equal or be greater than money going out, right? Otherwise, we're losing. And like I said, parents want to know where their money goes, and it's just a transparency of the money flow. There's a lot of ways to format the budget. We're not really going to talk about that, but the tier method, especially at the pack level, is a really good way to do it that I like. I think there's an example on the next slide, but it identifies what you get at certain sales levels. So not every kid is going to sell $10,000 of popcorn, right? Some kids are going to sell 500, some kids are going to sell 50. What do they get at each one of those levels? And it's just a relationship between the colonel, the treasurer, the committee chair, and then the cub master, the den leader, whatever you want, whoever you have involved with that. But it's a working relationship between all you guys. I see my picture there on the screen. Can we get rid of that thing at the top? Oh, moving the mouse. All right, so sorry. All right, council leadership and the council colonel meet with the vendors. That's going to happen. This is this is before the popcorn even arrives. This is the work that we do behind the scenes. So the council folks, they get together with the vendors and they come up with a contract. And then the unit colonels, you guys, March, supposed to start making your plan of what you're going to be doing and how you're going to be selling, setting up your show and sells and things like that. Obviously, if you're a brand new colonel and you didn't know that until today, you didn't do that yet, right? So you'll be fine. Because we've got some things for you at the council level. And then we do the one-on-one training in May. Units need to start establishing their budget and their sales goal in the next month or two. Then we do our seasonal training in June and July, and we'll release our Lowe's days. So Lowe's, we're going to control Lowe's for those of you that sold popcorn in the past. If you haven't, you'll figure we'll get you up to speed. But we control the Lowe's right here, and we send signups out, and each unit can sign up for different slots. Okay, so let's see. And we'll do and we don't really need to get into that, but we release the August Lowe's dates early, and then we'll come back and release some of the September and follow-on dates in July. We'll also do the second training, and then you guys got to hold your kickoff party, okay? Because during one of those two trainings, you're going to get your goodie bag. You're going to get your sample box, and some your sales cards, your envelopes to put cash in, and things like that. So you want to be able to hold a tasting with your unit, right? Because the kids need to know what the popcorn tastes like so they can sell it. So you're going to hold a kickoff party, and that's where you, as the colonel, you're going to discuss your plan. You can hand out all your supplies, and get your buy-in from your parents. And then that's when you're going to submit your first order. So we submit our order mid-July. It's going to get it. Usually it's 2 weeks prior to the arrival date.
July 17th.
July 17th, yeah.
Will this PowerPoint be somewhere?
Yes, it will be available online as soon as we're done. Allison puts it on the website. Okay, so product arrival. So what we do here is we do 4 orders. August, well, they arrive in August, September, October, November. And I put up there as the key to our success. There was another council that I heard about. They just do 1 order in the beginning, and that's it. So I'm like, really? That's kind of crazy. Because if you're stuck with it, if you order too much, if you don't order enough, then you don't make any money. So, but I think that's one of our big keys to our successes. And that we've been doing this what now, Allison, for 3 years that we've been doing this format, the 4 orders, this is the 3rd or 4th year. Yeah. So the first Thursday in August is when the truck arrives. It comes in and there's usually 3 trucks. So anybody that helps unload, we let you guys take your popcorn with you, so you don't have to make an appointment and come back later. And then subsequent orders arrive early September, October, November. The mid-November order, the final order, you've got to pay for that one in advance. So you don't have to put out any money to get these other orders. The council's got to pay their bill. So you got to pay your bill, okay? But you don't have to put any money out up front until that final order. And that's when all payments are due. And we'll talk more about the details of that at the trainings in June and July, which you guys need to attend. This is not a substitute for that training, for those trainings. Any questions so far? Everybody still with me? Everybody having fun? All right. Okay, let's talk about personal sales. First is door to door. I personally think it's best to have product in hand. A lot of folks go around and they just, hey, here's my card, and they pick what you want and write the name down. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have it in hand, people are more apt to buy it. But if you do that and it's summertime, keep your chocolate stuff in a cooler. You don't need to pack it with ice, because the problem we had last year was I had some cans that were laid over and I went and grabbed the cooler back and it was like somebody dumped a bag of ice cubes in there. And so the water got into the cans and people were telling me, hey, I got rusty cans. So just put a water bottle of ice, ice bottle in there, and that's all you need. Keep it closed and walk around with it. But don't let your chocolate melt. Number one, people don't want to get a, bucket of pretzels that have all the chocolate at the bottom and they're all plain pretzels at the top. So, and plus you can't return it either. We shake it when you bring it back. We'll talk more of that later. So you can take order forms to work as a parent. You can talk to your friends, your family, local neighbors, whoever. Once you establish your clientele, so to speak, always go back to those same people every year, because if they like the popcorn, they want it again. You could do online sales. Online sales are a 30% commission, vice it's 40%, but shipping is free. Correct, Allison? Okay.
Different product.
And there's different products. Yeah, whoever said that. Yeah.
And the chocolate they ship in November.
Yes, they won't ship the chocolate right away because they don't want it to melt. So you've got to go online and establish your account as a new colonel. Pecatonica Popcorn Store, prpopcornstore.com. I'm sorry, PecatonicRiverPopcorn.com. You have to establish your account. If you had an account last year, you still got to go back in and establish the account again. You can't log in with your last year's credentials. You always have to reestablish your account. You can log in with the same, I do it every time, same login, same password, but you got to reestablish your account. And then email from, so you might get an email from Pops. The question mark is there because they used to do that. Every time an online order was placed, you would get an email as the colonel, and then the email, the parent, whatever parent's email was in the account would also get an email saying somebody bought a tasty trio or whatever from.
They weren't doing that last.
They didn't do it last year. They've done it in the past. We didn't know if they were gonna do it this year, so it's in there. If you don't.
They're currently doing software testing and upgrades this week, so we should have more information on that next.
Okay,
But you can always check the report section to see if somebody's ordering.
yes.
Is the app gonna be tied to it this time?
We don't know anything about what the software upgrades are gonna look like yet.
So part of the reason I'm putting that in there is because I don't want you to see an email from Pops and say, that's trash email, and then just delete it. it's a legit thing, and sometimes it goes into your junk file, so, anyway. More to come, more to follow on that. And so as a colonel, one of the things that I do in my troop, is I manage, the parents do their own thing. I keep my own records because I want to make sure that kids are getting credit for stuff. I double check sales, especially, showing sales, because they're always screwed up. But you've got to make sure that you include those online sales in your totals, when you're submitting your kid for prizes. Okay, because if you're only, you got to keep that as a part of that. So what I always tell the kids is I just always send it out to the parents and tell them to add it to their popcorn sales sheet. And like I said, free shipping for that. And then, the QR codes, is that for those websites, right?
The top goes to the online storefront. It's not open until August 1st, so right now you'll just see a sign that says online store coming soon. The bottom one is for where you will set up your unit account, for Scout Boss. It's that PecatonicaRiverPopcorn.com. And that's the account where you're going to place your orders and give your scouts their seller IDs and be able to pull those reports on online skills.
Are you monitoring, speaking online, are you monitoring any questions online? Because, okay, that's because they know everything. All right, so back in the day when the kids used to love their dad, they used to hang out with me. Oh, I just put the, all right, so show and sell. So this is, we're gonna talk about show and sells. So what is a show and sell? So we're setting up in front of a storefront, right? In that case, that was Dick's Sporting Goods at Lynn Haven. They don't do that anymore. But you guys are all more than welcome to go out anywhere you want to sell and ask the owners, hey, can we sell popcorn in front of your place? You know, and we did it in front of a movie theater. One of our parents knew the people that owned the theater, and believe it or not, we're selling popcorn in front of a movie theater. Sounds kind of weird, but hey, they said as long as it's microwavable, you can sell it. All right. And if you make $400, you make $400. You know, it's whatever. It's 400 more than you had before you started, right? So you just have to go out there and see and look for, was a lot of foot traffic.
Tony, you said as far as setting them up, you said you're gonna release Lowe's dates. Is Food Line open or shut? Is that gonna be a council thing?
Food Line is going to be, I'll let
So
Allison.
we have not heard yet if our corporate contact is going to be coordinating Food Lion for all the councils. So until we hear otherwise, feel free to contact. The only one we ask you not to contact right now is Lowe's.
So Lowe's, yes. And I know Home Depot doesn't allow it. And there's,
It
yeah,
was not allowed at the last meeting.
yeah, Wawa's too.
But once again, if you know somebody at Wawa, if you know a manager, I've heard some people who have gotten in there, just give it a shot. You never know unless you ask. So,
Yeah, if you have personal contacts, I mean, feel free to use them.
yeah.
So you're gonna talk to the store manager to set it up. The only concern that we have is, what it says there is have a paper trail of booking confirmation and resolve conflicts professionally. What that means is troop A goes to the store A and says, hey, we want to do it. And they talk to the sales manager, and person B comes over and says, hey, and they talk to the operations manager, and they both schedule you for the same time. Okay, what do you do? So you both get there, wait, we're supposed to sell, no, we are. So keep that paper trail, and if that ever has to come, that should come to us, and we're gonna ask who signed up first. Because there's nothing else we can do about it. But we as scouts need to be professional. I'm a retired Navy guy, and for those of you that are military, anytime something happened in the military, it was always a sailor, or, but we're scouts, we represent scouts as a whole, right? So, let's keep it professional.
And one thing that we saw last year was some Food Line dates, was there were some units that got confused as to which location they were going to. What we want to see, remember a Scout law and everything, Scout is friendly, Scout is helpful, kind, courteous, all those things that we're supposed to be modeling for our scouts as adults. We need to make sure we're modeling that as adults for our scouts. Because we've had times in the past, it's why council took over the Lowe's locations, because we had people who were not modeling that, right? Please make sure that if there is a conflict, back away. There's no reason to get heated over it. We are the models for our scouts. So let's be kind about everything that we do, because that's the worst example we could set, right? Is going up and being like, no, I'm supposed to be here, you know. That's not kind, it's not courteous, right? That's, we're going against everything we're trying to teach them. So let's give them the right model, right? Because yeah, it stinks to lose out on some sales, but you can always make it up. You can't make up what your kids are seeing because you're getting heated over something as silly as sales.
And then the big thing is understand and follow the rules of the store you go into, okay? The reason that's up there as an example, Food Lion asked us to call ahead, what, a week or so in advance, right? Week in advance to let them know that you're coming. So if you don't do that, that's one of their rules, so.
So one of the things with that real quick is corporate is supposed to get all the information as far as, you know, who's going to be coming. And they're supposed to be letting their stores know. That's not happening. So between corporate and their stores, they're not getting information. So that's why a week in advance, you let them know, hey, we're supposed to come, here's our letter, and then they can go ahead and follow up, and then you guys are good to go. So, you know, sometimes information just doesn't trickle down to them as well.
And it's good practice with any location, because they might say you have to set up on this sidewalk block, you can't pass this line. We require you to have 2 kids there. We've heard all sorts of things. So if you know that ahead of time, when you're doling out shifts to the scouts in your unit, you can say, hey, I have to have you when we're at the line. It's there.
Okay, so we talked about parents and their connections. For the Cubs, they gotta, you know, have them work in pairs. One's always gonna go to the bathroom, so you can't leave the table unmanned. And again, that gets into that camaraderie building and things like that with the kids. Talked about certain companies being restricted. So you can see all the bling that we've got out there on the table that Mrs. Conway was the crafty mom in the group. That popcorn thing was just like a spray foam inflatable insulation stuff. So it was really, really cool display. But we had a lot of stuff set up. So you bring your troop flag, your pack flag, whatever. Just bring attention to the table. Again, keeping the meltables cool. And then bring any kind of membership stuff, you know, cards for kids to sign up, because you never know, some kid might come out and want to join scouts, and then here's a card, or you know, help that side of scouting as well. So you want to have a notebook with you. It has several order forms that shows the product, so you can hand them out to different people. What we always did was put them in a plastic sleeve. Bring a money envelope for each shift, and a money box with some petty cash in case people want to, you know, they need change or something like that. And then a credit card device for your phone, or whatever you have. And then track your inventory throughout the sale. So as you go, it can get pretty hectic, where you're just, people are coming left and right, and you forget to mark something down. So when you get a break throughout the day or throughout your shift, put out to your parents, hey, double check your inventory every so often, because especially after those big sales, when it's one after another, somebody might put the wrong, well, take credit under the credit card versus the cash sale, things like that. So, and it can make your life difficult as a popcorn kernel. Yes.
So one of the things I heard somebody do is they have a runner, a designated runner that gets like a 10% cut in the profit. So they are kind of like the on-call person. So in between the shifts, they're checking the inventory to keep everybody stocked. And they too get some kind of profit, however a unit wants to have somebody designated, because, you know, you want to make sure that, I know I do, like to have all the products on the table. And if all of a sudden you sold out all of your chocolate and you just got, you know, the microwaves and stuff, you're gonna want to have somebody in place to be able to restock for you. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. I've heard that's worked for some units.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about show and sells? So this is.
What's like the recommended time that they should be out there? I mean, is it 4 hours, 6 hours? I don't mean just the individual, I just mean, but like if you're gonna do a show and sell out at the, you know, at the mall or wherever you're gonna do it, I mean, the scouts typically try to do it for like 8 hours, 10 hours, or they try to just do like a 4-hour block in the morning and just be done?
So it depends on where you're selling, right? So number one, find out what time frame am I available to be out here, right? That's from the store. Once you know that, you know how many kids you got, you can divide it up. If you're gonna have two per, you know, at the troop level, it's just one. And he might be out there for an hour or two, depending upon how many parents want to participate, things like that. So it can be like if they're open from 9 to 5, sales between 9 and 10 are very low. Between 10 and 11, maybe 11 and 2 are really, really good. That's the time frame most people want to take. It's all based on how many people you have, what's available to you. When we do the low signups, what we do is we break the day in half. We take their opening and closing hours, we break it in half. So if somebody gets a morning shift, somebody gets an afternoon shift. And then you sign up for that.
Thanks. Age of your scout is important. 3 hours is long for a cubby, maybe. Anything's long for a scout PSA.
I would say nine, we did 9 to 5, and we put 2 scouts each time slot, and we gave them 2 hours each.
Yeah, for the cubbies, I would say 2 hours is usually pretty good. I've had my scouts do 3 to 4, because I've been on both sides, being a colonel for cubbies and scouts. But like, we have a location where depending on the weekend, depends on our traffic, right? So there's one location my troop sells at where sometimes 10 a.m. is phenomenal. And then other times 6 p.m. is phenomenal. And it just depends on what events they have going on that weekend. So I usually will look at that location and say, okay, what are their opening hours for Saturday and Sunday? I'm gonna set up shifts for Saturday and Sunday for the full days. So I have it and I put it out in a sign up genius to my entire unit, right? And then whoever takes it, right? And I'll set up depending on what's going on, either 2 or 3 hour shifts for that weekend. And then if we have additional shifts left over, then I'm gonna release it either to my feeder pack or put it on the Popcorn Kernels page and see who else wants it. But why not? Since I know that location can be really amazing and it's hard to tell which weekends are gonna be more amazing than others, right? Sometimes you can get a cadence, but other times you can't. Why not have all those set up? And then if you have extra hours, give them to other units. But then you've got them.
But the other thing is you want to look at how many kids are in your day. If you're doing a pro rata on sales, you don't want to choke up the day with so many scouts to get no benefit out of whatever sales come up. So you want to sort of keep it at 2 or 3 kids, I think, in whatever time blocks you're working with to figure out that they're going to get something from their activity.
Yeah, I usually do 2 per each shift as a maximum.
Parent genders,
Say that again.
parent genders.
Okay.
Does it matter? When you have your scouts selling?
Oh, can you have like a mom with a,
No, moms don't matter. Or moms are golden. Moms work every. Can you have a dad with a daughter?
I don't see why not.
So follow the guide to safe scouting. If it is just a family, the parent can always be with their own kid, regardless of gender. If there are 2 Cub Scouts who are both there, but they're not related, and one or both of them is a girl, then you have to follow the guide to safe scouting and have that gender too.
Did you guys hear that online? That's an important one. So if it's family, doesn't matter about the gender. If it's not, you need to make sure we're following the rules of safe scouting. Any other questions on that? And in that last one, that last little blurb in that last line there about scout sales can get lost if the cash credit sale is not documented correctly. In that case, there was an extra $20 left over and they said, oh, it must have been a donation. So they put it in a donation bin. And when I got it, at the end of the day, I'm looking at inventory and sales and I'm looking at my online credit sales. And I ended up gaining, the kid ended up gaining a $20 sale because he screwed up the paperwork and I found a mistake. So it's real important for the kids to get, recognition for what they're doing. Yes.
These donations, better to put into popcorn and then take out and give them to like this department or the fire department.
No, No, donations have to go back to council. Now, if you want to take some of your
Oh, I'm saying
popcorn,
take my donation money, put it into popcorn and transfer it to popcorn and then. And then use that popcorn that I paid for from my donations.
no, we can't do that. We'll talk about that. I think we're talking about that in this training.
Okay.
If not, Allison's gonna remind me to talk about donations. Because she's got a big wall clock and she wants a bigger one in her office. I'm kidding. Okay, so we're good on show and sells, right? Everybody good on that? Basically, you call or you go to the company, you say, hey, can we set up? When can we set up? Follow the rules and set yourself up, okay? Another good thing with that too, that wasn't mentioned there is make sure that if weather, like, do we have an overhead? Is there something covering me in the rain? Am I gonna be in the sun all day? Things like that, you know, do we need a pop-up tent? When you're scoping out the area. All right, so you want to have a popcorn kickoff party once you go to the training and you get all your supplies, you get your taste testing kit. So you want to plan, you know, you want to get into your unit schedule, but you want to plan for it before you get your first order, preferably, because once you get your first order, you're going to start. You should start selling, and the key to success, if it's not starting early, there you go. Look at that, I'm right on track. Start early, right? So that means if popcorn comes in August 1st, by August 1st and a half, I'm selling popcorn. Okay. So, so you want to do this kickoff party before you get the product. And like I said, you will get the tasting kit. You want to talk to your parents about going door to door. You want to hand out the popcorn order forms so they can start doing that as soon as you give it to them. I said earlier that, you know, you prefer to have the product with you, but if you want to get out there now and start selling, there's nothing wrong with doing it. Get out there and just take names and numbers and, hey, this is what we got. Popcorn will be here on August 1st.
Can I say something real quick on that?
Yes.
So one of the things I did one year when I was a unit colonel is I went and picked up my popcorn on the Thursday. I helped with the delivery, picked up my popcorn. 2 hours later, I had my table set up and I sold a lot that first day. So if you can get a Thursday right after popcorn comes in, you're gonna sell a lot because people are looking forward to it and they're looking forward to the big ones too. You know, the upper tier ones, so.
This area, we sold almost 1.2 million the last 2 years. So people, they support us. They'll buy popcorn and you're gonna find out that the sales in August are really, really good. And then as you saturate the market and then it kind of tapers off a little bit, but getting out there early is the key.
And you can have your scouts do, I mean, before the popcorn's even here. Go on, you know, online and make little videos. Hey, help support our scouts, you know.
Okay, so you want to have your selling strategy in place prior to the meeting. So you want to let your parents know, hey, we're going to get some Lowe's. We're going to get here, food line, whatever you want to set up, have that stuff ready to go and present it to the parents. You also want to make sure that you got buy-in from your parents as well. You know, if you're a new colonel, you might not know the history. So hopefully you got an outgoing colonel you can get a turnover from, but if not, you're going to start from ground zero, but try to get your parents buy-in, let them know the plan. If you have the ability to, you can set up a popcorn crew. I think Pam was talking about that earlier about somebody that's a runner, you know, that gets a cut because they're working, but they're not out there physically selling. And again, do the taste testing. Kids want to know what the stuff tastes like. And make it fun.
Customers are gonna ask them what their favorite is. If they turn around like my son did in Cubbies and say, I don't know, I don't eat this.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, so they'll ask, especially the young ones, they'll ask them, hey, what's your favorite flavor? And if they tell them, sometimes they buy a can of popcorn, so.
Didn't you say one time you had a lot of chocolate covered pretzels and you told your kid to say chocolate covered
Always,
pretzels?
that's right.
I always tell my kid not to say chocolate covered pretzel, so it's more for me.
All right.
So make it fun for the kids, you know, again, this is all based on the pack perspective. You can do it you can do it at a troop, court of honor or something like that at the end, you know, have something to eat and then do your popcorn tasting. But for the, you know, we did shooting rockets off, like air rockets or something with the pack back in the day, you know, met at a park and we did some events or did some things and then broke out the popcorn and tasted it. While the kids were playing, I was talking to the parents. So use the popcorn guide as your reference. The popcorn guide is being developed. It's pretty much ready to go, but it will be available online. That's your Bible, okay, throughout this entire thing. We don't have copies, right? Right now, okay.
Couple things like that, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it will be out soon. We'll definitely have it in time for the first popcorn training, which is June 10th.
Yep.
11th.
It's inflation, hit us, yeah.
What's that?
Popcorn still the same price as.
There's some different flavors and I think everything's the same price as last
There's
year.
a couple changes to our product lineup and you will hear all about those at the other trainings and they'll be in the popcorn guide as well.
Really?
So-
It's the only way you're gonna find out. All right. Where we at here? Okay, for the Cubs, discuss what the scouts should say to the customer, right? They always say, thank you, have a nice day, even if they get turned down. Do you want to, can you support scouts? Can you support my pack? Can you do it? Whatever it is you want them to say, other than like, buy my popcorn or else.
At the Cubby training, somebody was saying that their unit, just recently, they said, would you like to help send me to camp or something like that? I thought that was really cute, but, would you like to help because we always say, we don't want to say if we buy popcorn, would you like to support scouting, right? But they were like, would you like to help send me to camp?
And then the show and sell tracker and the credit card app. Again, if your parents are new, you want to make sure they understand how to log in to the app. And then what kind of tracker you guys are going to use when they're doing show and sells, so that they know how to fill out the paperwork. And then just a thought: do your scouts get credit for their shift, or do all the scouts split the day? That's something you can talk about amongst your unit. I opted for I tried doing the one split the day, but I was shot down at the troop level. So the troop is for hardcore. My kid's going to get the money that he makes. And going back to that 11 to 2 time slot, that's why everybody wants to grab that time slot, because that's the lucrative spot. Okay, so
Yeah. and
It's
like with
done different
Popeye
ways.
Geniuses, I only put them out 1 month in advance. Some people do it for the whole season. But it's because I want to make sure that everybody has a fair chance and you don't have somebody stealing all the great shifts at the beginning, right? And then saying, oh, I can't take that shift later on.
So some more information you want to give out to your parents. When let's say a parent is going to go out and they go door to door, say, hey, I need all these products that we just sold, I got orders for. When you hand that out to your parents, track that in some way, whether you handwrite a receipt and give them a copy of it, say you received this amount of items. I use text because I don't feel like writing a receipt book, but I text them and I save it on my phone until the end of the season. So I know that they owe me money for that particular product. Or, when they text me and they say, hey, can I get these different products? I hold on to that and that's my receipt book. So just some way to do that, because parents will forget that they owe you money. I talked about paying the bill. So realize that we have, once they get popcorn, they have to understand you got 30 days, either sell it or give it back to me. And one of the two, because the council has to pay their bill. And if they don't pay their bill on time, they get charged extra. And so that's why we get charged extra, because we got to pay our bill as well. And when I say return it, I never knew this, but somebody thought we return it to the popcorn company. No. Once we make that order, that popcorn belongs to us. We own it. So if we don't sell it, the council can't get rid of it through donations, it's now a loss. Okay, so returns are only coming back here and getting donated.
And that goes along with the question earlier on
Yeah.
donations.
Yeah, so ma'am, you were talking about donations earlier, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so all donations throughout the sale are going to the military. Okay, they all come back to the council. Why do they do that? Right, because, and I don't know that we have that. Allison, do we have that in this? I don't want to get.
So go ahead and cover it.
Okay, there's legally, we cannot accept donations. You guys as units cannot accept donations. IRS, state can't do it. The council can, but they can't transfer that to you guys, to us. I say you guys, I'm part of that too, right? So we can't. We're selling a product. right? If you do a car wash, you're providing a service, and if people donate, that's a different story. But for the popcorn, no, it's all gotta come back to the council. So what does the council do with that money? Well, when you can't sell your product and you bring it back, all that product now goes to the donations. Through donations, we buy that product back and give it to the US. That makes sense? That's one of the things that keeps our commissions high, right? Is that we have an ability to take product back, and the council can now not take a loss on it because we have this money backing it up. That makes sense.
The donation's a sale, so the unit keeps a portion of that sale, right?
Yes, and the donations, right, so the donation, you still get 40% of your donations. Yes,
So if you decide you wanna take
So you started
a
60%.
certain, 40% of that donation to go towards purchasing the popcorn, yeah, absolutely, you can do that, because that's your unit's money to do with what you want to. The other 60% though goes back to us for the USO to offset that inventory. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Yeah, I was just.
You said it right.
okay, I said it right. The 16 and 40, yeah, like I said, it's been a long day. All right,
I don't know of any other council that does 40. I've talked to a lot of councils
Yeah.
and they say, how do you do that? And I say, we manage our inventory. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Is just everybody working together. And last year, those unit colonels did a beautiful job. All the working on Facebook, and somebody needs something and we transfer it around and make it happen. And the units reaching out to each other, make it happen. And it's just, that's why I get 40.
and remember, this is all information that you guys want to put out to your parents at your, this is the business end of it while the kids are having fun. So maintain neat records. Once you hit that $3,000 prize level, you have to submit a copy of your order form that totals up to 3,000. So if the order form is messed up, or you're going back and, backpedaling, trying to fill it out correctly, just maintain neat records as they go. What I always tell the parents is, for your show and sell, if the kids do a show and sell, I say, hey, on your order form, put this date, show and sell, and put this amount in this certain block and this amount of donations. That's what your kid made. This way, it's a line item on your popcorn order form, and it gets counted towards prizes. That make sense?
There were lots of files on the Facebook page, and you need help with record keeping. Lots of people over the last few years have uploaded files of how they keep their records through their units. So if you search for the files for previous years, there's some phenomenal record keeping spreadsheets.
All right, your parents, that you need to let them
What's the
know.
Facebook page.
The Tidewater Council Popcorn Kernels page.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be listed up here. So the parents also need to know the deadline for those 4 order dates, right? I use Google Calendar, and I put on the dates that the order is due. I put on the date that the order comes in, and of course, all my show and sell dates go on there as well, and I share that with my parents. As an example, I talked earlier about, hey, you go to training, you hand out your popcorn card, you do this, you hand out the order form, and parents go door to door to door to door, and they come back with a set of order form. Well, if you don't know that they have that, let's say they ordered $500 worth of popcorn. Well, you're only ordering stuff that you think you need for the show and sell that you have planned until the next order comes in. Now this parent comes and says, hey, I need $500 worth of popcorn. And you say, well, my order's already been submitted. I can't submit another order for another, month or whatever. Okay, so make sure your parents know when you're submitting your order, so that if they go out and they solicit and they bring the order form to work, or they do whatever they do, that you have inventory that can support that, or that you order the inventory. You don't want to pull from your show and sell stock to support personal sales. You can go on a Popcorn Kernel Facebook group and see who's got something extra, but don't tap into your show and sells inventory to support your parents. That sounds kind of backwards, but you want to be able to stock yourself with the stuff you have planned for the big sales. Contact parents for their personal orders. Okay, so let your parents know when you get, hey, I'm gonna submit my order. Anybody need anything? And again, don't tap into those show and sells. And then utilize the unit-to-unit transfers. That's on Facebook. Questions? Okay, so that's what you're gonna put out to your parents, all that stuff. So now, the big question, how much do I order? Okay, so the first thing you wanna do is look at what you sold last year. Okay, and then are the same scouts selling? Do you have more scouts, less scouts? Did you not sell last year? Okay, so you're still at ground zero. Okay, and then now based on whatever plan you have. What kind of show and sells did you schedule? And remember, the 4 orders, you're not ordering for the entire season. You're only ordering from August 1st until August, what's the first week of September when the other one comes in. Okay, so it's only by month. And then I had a parent that walked the neighborhood with their kid and was just selling left and right. So if you have parents that want to do that, parents are big sellers. They bring it to work. You want to order enough to support them as well. Hopefully you have funding in the unit's bank account to cover 60%, which is your bill for the first order. So you're going to get your first order of popcorn. And remember, sales are big in the beginning of the season. You want to order a lot of popcorn. You'll have time to sell it off, but if you have money to cover the 60%, which is your bill, now you're free and clear with all that popcorn. You can just go ahead and sell it throughout the season, or you can transfer it online or on Facebook. And like I said, you'll have plenty of opportunity to sell off that first order. Okay, we good? You with me? All right. There's only 40 more slides to go, right? Okay, how much do I really get? All right. $10 classic caramel, that's your biggest seller. It's always the biggest seller. It's $10. People want to buy it, they want to support. 2022 council sales were about 25%. 13,000 to 52,000 sold. And my troop of 13 scouts, we sold 177 of 2116 cans. So we sold about 8%. Or 8% of our sales was classic caramel. Caramel with sea salt was another favorite. 9% at the council level. And you want to get all flavors. You also want to get one of each of the non-refundable, and it's actually 4 of them this year, not 3. I missed that one. So you'll sell it. You will sell the chocolate lovers, the cheese lovers, and a trio, and you want to take them with you to the show and sells. I always have an extra chocolate. I think I bring 2 chocolate lovers, and I put them in these, keep them in the box, but I put them inside these little kind of soft cooler bags so they don't melt. But you'll sell them, and if you don't, you'll sell them the next time. Or somebody's going to go on Facebook and say, "Hey, I need a chocolate lovers," because I was afraid to buy enough, and then now I need some. And by the way, the transfers don't count against you. So in other words, if you transfer a chocolate lover to somebody online, on Facebook, to another unit, it just gets subtracted from your inventory. Doesn't count against you. And then the funny numbers there. So I got to probably stop doing this, but the red, that's how many I sold in each year based on the color. For those that are colorblind, I'm sorry. But it's getting a little more. I started doing that now 4 years later. It's like, it's probably enough. We gotta stop doing that. So.
No, I think it's good because we can see the fluctuations.
Yeah, and that's for 13 kids, right? So, and as they get older, and they sell less, but the point of that was you will sell that stuff. Cheese in the trio are returnable for a limited time, as well as a new flavor we have that we're not going to announce yet. And then when in doubt, just talk to your district colonel. So if you know who your district colonel is and you don't know what to order, hey, how much am I really going to sell at Lowe's? The first thing I'm going to ask you is, are you a pack or a troop? So if you're a pack, you'll sell more.
Hey, Doug, so
Yeah.
we sold a bunch at Lowe's the last 2 years, and between selling and donations, I could count on 125 and
Yeah,
for the day.
right. Is that a pack or a troop?
Back.
Good.
Yeah, and I will say, our troop sold really well in August. And our pack for some reason doesn't seem to want to sell much in August. I don't know what that's about, but the younger scouts for some reason there's a lot of summer bring. But one thing that we can do too is look up your last year's sales to give you last year's order to give you a good idea of what your unit did last year. So if you don't have a copy of it, the district colonels can get a copy of that for you. So you can get an idea, of what did you order last year? And talk to the colonel from last year if they're still around, or talk to whoever, talk to your committee before placing the order. Hey, how did we do that? Do you guys remember, especially if you're like new and you haven't done this before, do you remember how we did during that first order? Did we have enough? Did we run out? This is what the order was from last year. I'm thinking about doing a reorder. Do you guys think this makes sense?
Yeah, good point. I didn't even think about that. We can go in and look at your past records.
We can get it to you.
Okay, so again, the meltables, the chocolate, the pretzels, sea salt splash, anything chocolate related. Don't store it in the garage, keep it in your house. And the thunk test is what we call it. We'll take the can and we'll shake it. And if you hear a thunk, 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 that means it's just a big melted mess. There's ways around that. I'm not gonna plead the fifth on that one, but this thing's gonna be posted online, so I can either confirm or deny anything. All right. Credit card apps. So first of all, utilize the EIN from your charter organization. Do not put your own information in there, because you will get a 1099-K from the IRS saying you just made a profit, you sold X amount of product. Okay. They are the tax exempt, typically have a tax exempt EIN. And if you have not set that up yet, and you need help with that, let us know. Okay, BSA doesn't endorse any particular credit processing vendor. Square, we use Zettel, which is pretty cool, and it takes different. There's different. Oh, never mind. I'm just gonna keep going. So
pay attention to your processing fees, because certain credit card vendors give you different fees based on how you process the transaction. So read through that.
yeah, and when we started doing this training, this different phone connections thing, a lot of stuff nowadays is done through Bluetooth. But if you have any of the plug-in things, just make sure you have enough of the different types of phones that are being utilized. Yes.
So what happens if I don't want to use credit cards? I mean, why not just pay cash?
You lose 25%.
You probably lose more than 25%. I think more than 50%. I wrote it down somewhere on my computer, but more than 50% of your sales will come through credit cards.
I'll tell you, my kids get excited when they get to, somebody walks away and they say, but we take card.
Yeah,
They always turn around.
Yeah.
They always.
yeah, that's definitely, I agree. Okay, so, like Erin said, pay attention to your fees. And speaking of fees and going back to the budget, right? You're paying fees. You're losing money on credit card sales. So factor those losses into your budget following year, because you got to make up that money somehow, right? So that's just another little item that you want to make sure is in your budget.
My true figure is about 4%. Thinking, 2.7 for your processing fees, and then just a little bit extra for any other costs.
Put it to you like this, the sale is a lot better than the loss for the fees, right? If you don't make the sale, you're out more. So, but, card info can be inputted manually. Usually they take more money for that. Like I said, I always review my transactions. I can go on Zettel for the day. I can find out what was sold, what time it was sold, and I just bounce it off my sales sheets. And that's how I figure out what kids sold what and what they didn't log in correctly. And there's more info on the Pecatonica site. Yes. Oh, yes.
What's that word again? You said settle? What is that?
Settle.
How do you spell?
Oh, Zettel is Zettle.
It's connected through PayPal.
Settle.
Okay.
It's like settle with a Z.
Settle with-
Zettle. It's a
Yeah, and it's affiliated with PayPal.
yeah, PayPal.
PayPal.
Thank you. I was trying to-
Sorry, like, thank you very much.
Some people use,
Even better way to use it.
they use Zelle, Zelle. That's different.
Affiliated with PayPal?
Yes.
Zettel is affiliated with PayPal.
Yeah.
PayPal used to have their own app for collecting money, and they did away with it, in 2023. And transferred everything over, well, they converted over to Zettel, they didn't like transfer your information.
Some people use Square. I don't know what else is out there, but Venmo, like Zelle, you can go Venmo, you can pick Venmo, and it's just,
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on all that stuff.
No, but it is real, that is, with the Zettel, you can take, there is a. Whatever QR code thingy that, you can take Venmo through it, you can take PayPal through it.
Apple Pay.
Apple Pay, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's anything.
yeah,
Yeah, if you wanna look at Zelle, I got it on my phone, I'm not gonna do it now, but I
Yeah,
can.
I do have a
Yeah.
question, because I'm new to this for this year, so because there are credit card processing fees, do you add that to the sale or the unit just takes it as part of operating expenses?
I don't know that anybody does that. I'm not saying you can or can't.
So I would not suggest that, because we don't want people going to different locations and getting different prices, right? So if they go to Lowe's and one unit is saying, hey, this is $20, and then they go to, you know, I don't know, some other store and they say, oh, it's $23.50, or, you know,
Mhm.
I'm obviously throwing a number out there. I don't
Yeah, I
know what
understand.
the exact amount is. What's gonna happen is that unit that's putting the charge into the customer is probably gonna see less sales, and then we're gonna be getting questions at council saying, why is this product selling at different prices at different locations? So that's part of like my unit, we just know, on average, our cost of sale, if you're talking about your credit card processing fees and then any sort of losses, is about 4%, okay? So just across the top, we figure we're probably somewhere in this sale gonna lose somewhere between 3 to 4%. So we factor that in when we look at how we're what our incentives for our scouting families are to bring down those costs, right? So when you're looking at your budgeting, that's just what we figured was between 3 to 4%, and we went as 4%, just actually, I mean, it's probably less than 4%, because we did do the math on it. But because it was just a little over 3%, we didn't want to end up in the negative where we're taking away from our unit. So we said, if we say 4% is gonna kind of cover our credit card transactions and our losses, then we don't have an issue at the end of the season balancing out, right?
Right.
And we're not taking money out of our budget that we needed to continue our unit sales. But yeah, we don't want to have different sales prices at different units because we're putting those credit card processing fees in.
Well, plus the paper says how much everything costs.
Right.
So if they're looking at it and it says 25, but you say, oh, it's 27, they're gonna be like, why is it 25 here? Cause all the prices are on that.
Right, and there are, I mean, there are scams going around, unfortunately, and there was somebody going around last year with an order form.
Go to bed. No, go hang out.
And people are gonna think that you're fraudulent if your order form doesn't match what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the first time I heard that question. It's good. It's interesting. Okay, anybody else with questions about credit cards? And again, just factor that into your budget, right? Factor those fees into your budget. All right, so communication and tools. First line says, sign up on Tidewater Council Popcorn Kernel Facebook group.
So if you're not on there.
Sorry, I'm just old.
In that QR code right now.
You see what the last line says up there? It's a popcorn kernel Facebook group sandwich, okay? Top and bottom. That's the bread.
Let's brush my teeth.
Hello there.
Good job, buddy.
Hey, make sure you guys answer the
Emily, slow.
Because we're very.
Then go do it. You don't need me.
But it really is the top way to communicate with everybody, because we all know that, I mean, I'm sure you like me, everybody gets 20 million emails. So while we send out the emails, sometimes they get lost in the mix. This is a great way to have, you know, communication where we can communicate with you guys, but also units can communicate with each other. Let go of those additional times that aren't signed up for. So you have a camping trip that you forgot about and you set up showing sales. Transparent products, so that way that isn't counted against you. Right, there's so many, you know, sharing files. Andrew's unit has shared so many files and ideas through that Tidewater Popcorn Kernels page. It's been phenomenal. Go back in the files and search it out. I mean, he's got QR codes that he's used, flyers that he's used. He shared all those with us on there, but other units have too. I just know he shared a lot.
Yeah, so we talked about communication earlier in the brief, and it is important, so just keep your district and council informed of any plans for with excess inventory. So if you have show and sell coming up and instead of returning it, you want to hold on to it, just let us know what you're planning on doing. Allison is behind the scenes managing excess inventory and donations and things like that throughout the year. Okay, throughout the season.
Allie's nails and Lenny's makeup.
No, she's doing it blind because for different reasons, but it just helps. It helps all of us in this team effort here. So don't order anymore if you have enough surplus for planned sales. So if you have enough for planned sales, just because you have an order coming in, if you have enough to cover yourself until that order arrives, until the next order gets here, don't order anymore. Okay, you're just going to put yourself in a hole. Utilize the kernel tracker. That's I'm probably on. I know Pecatonica are working on something for that, a kernel tracker. Any sort of tracker, whether you utilize Pecatonicas or not, just keep a track of your inventory and how much you're selling and your scouts inventory and things like that. So build or acquire a sales inventory tracker. Again, notifying your parents, communicate with your parents about their scouts credit after the show and sell. Most parents will do the show and sell, but then they leave, the next shift comes and they put all the money in an envelope and then they're done for the day. They're not writing down, hey, my kid sold this amount or got that amount of the donations. That's for, at least for me anyway. And I do that at the end, in the evening.
I will say my unit, just because we wanted to have full transparency, and this is just a thought, we have a 2 adult count out. So one thing is at the beginning and end of every shift, we have the scouts actually do the inventory. Because they're, we're talking about a troop level, right? So whether it's adults or scouts or whoever, we're having people, whoever the shift is that's coming on is counting that inventory. Whoever the shift is that's coming off is also counting the inventory, making sure those numbers before they go on to the next shift. Okay, so we can figure out where the problem is before it becomes a problem. But then on top of that, I have a 2 adult count out of any money that comes in. So that way it's being verified. So at the end of the weekend, I'm going through, we have all the envelopes from each shift sealed. And then I have enough, usually, I'm not gonna be doing it this season because I'm not doing my unit this year, but I have a popcorn committee who's doing the unit. And usually 2 adults sit down and count it together. So that way we've got 2 set of eyes verifying what money came in. And then I go through, because parents do, while they may not be writing down all the totals, they have a general idea of what their scout sold. And when they feel like you're shortchanging them, they're not so happy about that. So at the end of the weekend, when I'm going through those scout totals, if there's a discrepancy between what's on their paper that they wrote down, because I have them do a sheet, I will send a text, hey, myself and whoever else just counted this money and it's not matching up to what you had said. This is what I'm showing, and I want to verify with you that that makes sense to you. And this is where, and I'll try to find out where the problem was. And then once a month, I send out to each of the parents just a little text message. Hey, this is what I have as your total scout sales. Does that make sense? And if there's a problem, because I'm a human, right? And I know that, so I can make mistakes. It can get caught during the season and not at the end of the season when everybody's upset about their prizes. So I just send a text, hey, this is what does that make sense? And it just helps reduce those problems at the end of the season.
Okay, and then like I said, I said it earlier about notifying parents, and then I notify them, hey, put this on your sales form. This is what you got for the day. And I would say 25% of the time there's mistakes. Documentation of each scout sale will be required for the winter circle prizes. That's the $3,000 and higher. So make sure you, again, keep neat records. Pay on time. Okay. Get your donations in when you're picking up the next order. This is something we're trying to encourage this year. Okay. A lot of times, and I'm guilty of it too, donations, all the money goes into a pot or whatever, but I don't fill out my donations form until the end of the season. And meanwhile, Allison's sweating it because she doesn't know how much inventory she's got or what's going to cover it. So what we're going to do this year, it's just sort of a preemptive thing here. We're going to give incentives for kids to pay their donations, or for unit colonels to pay the donations on when you get your second order. So you bring in, you get your second order, you pay donations. You bring in pick up your third order, you give donations. We'll talk more about that at the other trainings. And again, the Tidewater Council Popcorn Kernel Facebook group sandwich, don't forget that. No, you don't have to be. You can be a den leader. But that's it, no lower than that, that's the bottom of it. No, the den leader, is the toughest job in scouting, man. I did that, yeah.
We do in my unit, we're doing a popcorn committee, and everybody that's part of that committee, I had joined the page because those are all people that are helping with the sale, right? So we have 3 people as part of the popcorn committee. I want them all to be in the loop as to what's going on, and your treasurer is probably really important to be in that popcorn page, because they're gonna need to know when the dates are. For making sure the plates are coming. Making sure that the inventory makes sense.
Okay, so earlier we talked about unit incentives in the beginning of the presentation here. So this is where you, as the unit, provide some incentives for your scouts in between the prize levels that's set forth by the council. So if our first prize level is 50, what is it, $100 for the patch? And then it's 500 for the movie ticket, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, or 400?
500. So the prize levels, nothing is going away from the prize levels that we had last year. Same dollar amount, same prizes, but like Tony said, there's gonna be an extra incentive for the scouts, that's gonna be tied to the donations.
Do we get to buy the PE?
Your units can vote on that, your the for permission to hire.
I bet people would be turning.
That lasts for days, I'm just saying. But yeah, we'll do Wes. Wes will do it.
Yeah, sure.
So if the council's giving out $100 or $500 for prizes, you guys can have a $250 prize level. At the cup level, we did a grab bag. You put a bunch of stuff into a black trash bag, and then the kids have to go in there and it's just something different and fun for them to do. $750, $1,500, things like that, in between the other prizes. And again, don't forget to budget all that stuff. So you can do a grab bag, you can do a pizza party if your unit makes its goal. You can do pies in the face, like we're talking about. Don't forget, use your paper plates, not the good china. And then if you have unit hoodies or t-shirts or something like that, you can offer those up as well. Okay, just something to keep the kids motivated. And this is an example of so on the left side, this is from PAC 700. This is from 2023. The unit incentives are on the left-hand side and the council incentives are on the right-hand side. And that's what they put out to their parents. And so you can that kind of breaks it out pretty simply. I don't know if you can read all that stuff, but like at $1,500, summer day camp was paid, fees were paid. It says value may be transferred to comparable item for credit. So if they don't want to go to day camp, they can get something equal value. So any questions on that? That's the difference between unit and council incentives. This is a show and sell tracker. This is just an example. This is the one I use. If you don't have one and you want one, and there's some on Facebook, I will be more than happy to email this to you. But basically, I don't like the way it copies over, but your previous shift's inventory, your shift's inventory. So there's a lot of checks and balances on this form. Okay, the guy that wrote this, that developed this thing he did this kind of thing for restaurants. So he was you can't make a mistake on this if you follow it, but mistakes are always made. And then anything added to the shift. So it's, what the last guy said they had and what you think you have, and they should be the same. And then all your cash sales, all your credit sales, we would just mark it with a little tick mark. And again, this is where you're differentiating between cash and credit and donations, and things get all mixed up. And then at the end of the sale, you can do your inventory there as well. So what you think you're supposed to have and then what you actually have. And on the other side, I don't want to get really into it. I just wanted to show you that that's an example. It's an Excel document. It gets printed out and gets written on by hand, and then it comes back to me at the end of the show and sell, and I go ahead and QA it and make sure it's good to go. This is your personal tracker. Again, it's just a printout off my Excel form. So when I put in a cheese lover, I put in 1, it automatically tallies everything up for those that are Excel's. You know, it is what it is. I'm not the Excel expert, but it's pretty easy to figure out. If you can plagiarize another document, that's even better. That's what I did. All the formulas were already in there. But once you make one document, you just make it for each one of your kids. So that's, every kid has its Excel file. And I track personal sales, showing sales, and online sales. And it goes to a master document and all that good stuff, so. This one in particular has donations separate from the sales, because at one time donations did not count towards prizes, but they do now. All right, any questions on anything we covered at all so far? Yes,
I have a question about, you keep talking about donations and the scouts turning in the donations. I don't understand what
Okay.
you're saying.
so you go to a show and sell and you sell a bunch of popcorn and you get $100 in donations. Okay. That donations has to get paid to the council. So that's like $100 sale. Right? You're gonna pay 60 and you keep 40 of the donations. So you're gonna fill out a donations form saying, I have $100 in donations, I owe you 60, and my cut is 40. Then you pay your $60. When you turn in that form with the $60, you paid your donations. The scouts don't pay, I mean, it's the colonel doing it.
Okay,
You see what I'm saying? But then but this year, what we're gonna do is we've got a form that these are the scouts, that 60 or $100 goes to Billy and Timmy, and he gets 20 and so on and so forth. So it's,
okay.
and then those scouts at $25, minimum $25, they'll get a prize.
Okay,
You know, a little thing.
so if we do, if our group just splits the whole day up, we're there for 6 hours, we split it up for 6 hours, then the donations would get
Yep.
split 40% divided by 6. And, or however many.
Well,
kids.
the 100 is, so let's say you got 4 kids selling, you make $100, right?
Okay,
You split the day, everybody gets $25. 4 kids on the name, 25, 25, 25. Each one of those kids gets the prize.
oh.
It's
you're
based
not
on the initial
counting the
donation, not
percentage.
the,
You're not counting the percentage that we,
no. It's
Split,
it's
it's the full amount.
yes, the donation.
Okay. okay.
That clears mud? Yes.
Last year when we did it and we were walking the neighborhood, just me and my kids, sometimes people would give us donations.
Yes.
How do we deal with
Same thing.
same thing?
Yeah.
You have to, I had a couple of younger Cub Scouts, I did have to tame them down a little bit because people like to, here's this for you. And so you have to go back to the Cub Scouts, and it's better if you tame it up front and just let them know any donations are for this. Because I did have people try and give the kids money directly.
Yes, and a lot of people will do that, right? And I'm just gonna say this, so. We talked about the kickoff party, talking about, I don't think I have that in there. I probably need to I'll make a mental note. I gotta put that in next, the slide again. I want to update the slide. But probably need to tell the parents, hey, all donations, no matter what, should go to the council. They're supposed to go to the council.
And they're all for the military, so when you say it, when you're at the table, because we're just saying, because I wanna make sure that it's clear. All donations go to the military, okay?
Printed on the form too.
It is printed on the form, it says military donations on the form. But they will, I've had people walk up to my unit and say, I want this to go to your unit. It is for the military, it is a military donation. Because otherwise, and he talked about this earlier, but as a nonprofit organization, you have to file with the IRS a charitable solicitations form. Each of our units is under a chartering organization that we're tied to, okay? And so the reason you'd have to go back to council is unless your chartering organization has done a charitable solicitations form and they're filing with the IRS, which costs money, by the way, they can't ask for donations.
It's also in the VSA bylaws, so
Yeah.
even if they have. like,
Well, that's
you
true.
Cannot solicit donations. It's
Right.
A VSA rule, but through the military donation program, you are not asking for donations, you are selling a product. But your customer is not the person getting the product. The USO comes here with a truck at the end of the sale, and everything that gets returned. We've been very fortunate the last few years that we've had enough donations to cover it, which is how we're able to keep that 40% commission so high.
Now,
Like Pam said, it's the highest we know of in any scout.
now, it was 3 years ago, we did not, we had a lot of return, I think it was 3 years ago. And, it was what, $125,000 in returns? It was a lot. And actually, council kind of came back and said, hey, if you guys can't control this inventory, we can't take a loss like this. Now, we had some phenomenal popcorn kernels who sold what was left over, the excess, right? And we can only sell products until the end of the year. So they busted their butt and kept their scouts out there selling that product to get rid of it. So council didn't have to eat that cost. But council said, if we have a big, return where we now don't know what we're gonna do with it, we're gonna have to look at, maybe looking at that as a cost of sale where we bring down the percentage. So that's why we try really hard to keep that balanced. Those donations keep us balanced. So when you're under-reporting or not reporting donations, and believe me, I go out with my scouts and I sell. And I mean, there have been times where literally last season, we had one shift where I had a scout receive $150 in donations. He got $100 from one person, $50 from another person, which is great. And we reported those donations. But when you're not reporting or under-reporting, what you're doing is you're offsetting what we can use in our returns. And when you do that, you're putting us all at a risk of having our commissions go down. So we're really, really lucky at 40%. But when you're not reporting those donations to council, not only are you doing something illegal, like let's go with that, right? And then you're not setting a good example, right? You're not being honest, right? Scouts are honest, right? That's one of our main tenets. So when we're under-reporting or not reporting, we're not being honest. We're not setting a good example. We're doing something illegal. We're breaking the bylaws. But on top of that, we're also putting the entire group at jeopardy of having a lower commission rate. So if that's what you want, if you want a lower commission rate, and you want to do all those other things that I just talked about, then under-report or don't report your donations. And now we're looking at problems across the board. One of the things that we tried really hard over the last 3 years since that one time, and I was on the district side at that point, and I will tell you, when we got those returns, I mean, it was hard to even count how many plastic caramels we had. Like, Beth was keeping me on track of plastic caramels because, I mean, it was just boxes and boxes of returns that we were like, oh my goodness, what are we gonna do with all this, right? That's why we have some of the policies that we do, because we want to keep the units at 40%. We have one of the best commissions in the United States for your units to make scouting affordable for your families. Because this program doesn't survive, Scouts doesn't survive without making it affordable for our families. Right? So what you guys are doing, and I know it seems silly, it's popcorn, who cares? It's allowing our program to survive, right? It's allowing us to grow and become stronger. And then, it is through our support of Friends of Scouting that we can have things like, we have Scout Reach programs where we have units that are entirely funded through Friends of Scouting. So that way, some of our units who couldn't afford scouting at all can afford it. Friends of Scouting supports our scholarship funding for some of the families that need it too. But if you want to see this program go on, this is what we need this for. And donations are an integral part of it. So please, when you're thinking about those donations and reporting them, make sure you're being honest. It helps keep commissions high. It helps keep it affordable for our families. And it helps this program all together. I hope I didn't just fill that like.
Thanks, Sarah.
No.
So 2 last things I want to say real quick on donations. Number one, you can't solicit. So we have a donations tin at our table when we're out showing selling, but it's always under the table. It can't be on the table saying it with a donations label, right? You can't do that because you're asking for donations that way. So keep it hidden. People give it to you, just stick it in the tin. The second thing is, just train of thought. There's something else I want to say about donations. Oh, well, I lost
We
it.
got a really cool prize for donation for the kids.
Yeah,
So,
Just a gift for.
I'll tell you what, once
Yes.
she gets this prize, the rest of them are gonna want it, so.
Yeah,
Really great.
and there is a receipt for donation if people want it as a tax deductible thing. They can do that. So yes, that's it's in the popcorn guide. And then I just had it. Oh, my goodness, you
You
killing
put a
me.
sign up selling donations for the troops.
I'm sorry?
It's on the popcorn sheet as a.
Right, I know it's on there. Can you put a sign? You can't put a donation sign.
So that was the other thing I wanted to say, right? You can't, yeah. I had it when you were talking and then I was like, oh, I lost it again. So you can't solicit donations, but because the military donation is on the order form, you get a lot of, I don't want to pick on older people, but old people say, I don't want popcorn. I don't like popcorn. You say, well, we have a donation. You can donate to the military. It's a product. So you can offer that to somebody that doesn't want popcorn. Okay. And then I guess you guys met everybody. So there's our information that'll be available online if you didn't already write it down. And I think, and then the three bigwigs, Erin, Allison, and Pam. Okay. So in conclusion, the amount of sales required and what you guys have to sell is based off of a working budget. There's a website there. I think that's the Excel document, if I'm not mistaken. Help unload when you can. Okay, if you help unload the truck when it comes in, we'll let you take your stuff and go. Don't forget to hold a kickoff party, make it fun, make it informative for your parents. Start early. Okay, if you wait till October, the market's going to be saturated and people aren't going to want to buy. And then manage your inventory. Okay, that's really important. Don't order more if you don't need it. Talk to your parents prior to submitting your order. Make sure they know you're going to make an order. You're going to put an order in and see what they have if they needed any product. Diversify your selling strategy, meaning showing sales and walking in neighborhoods and taking it to work and different ways of getting the product out there. And then communicate. We're here to help you guys out. Can't fix everything, but we are here to help you guys out if you need any help.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you back it up to where the numbers were with your number on it and Allison's number was on?
Yeah, sure.
Now, those are all on the council site, and this will be up there too, and it'll also be.
So,
back.
okay, then I don't need to.
Yeah, it'll also be in the popcorn
Yeah.
guide too, which will be
Okay,
coming
don't
out
worry
shortly.
about it.
Yes.
So you'll have all these numbers, you can get them on the Facebook page. This will be up there, the popcorn guide will be up there, you'll be able to see all of these up here.
Sorry.
No, don't be at all. No question is ever a bad question, but I did want to say, over the past couple of years, I know I'm probably not the only person that thinks this, and I know I'm not the only person that thinks this here in our group, but we've seen the units have been helping us so much when we get these deliveries, and I want to say thank you so much for wanting time away from your families to be here, because I know that this is a commitment that you guys have. Your time that you do all your sheets and your scheduling and your sign up geniuses and you're going to stores to get your show and sales and making sure that you're meeting people, and sometimes I'm sure it drives you crazy. And I know just like you, like right now, my son is at his baseball game and I'm trying to keep up with the scores. I'm sure you guys are missing something for your scouts, your personal scouts right now to be here. So we thank you for that. But thank you so much for the effort that you give us in helping out, because without our units and our popcorn kernels and our committee chairs and our cub and den leaders and scout leaders who are all helping us offload trucks, and the scouts that are coming out to help us offload trucks, because I know I dragged out several last year. I also dragged out some to help us get the popcorn stuff together. Without you guys, this sale wouldn't happen. So I just want to say thank you very, very, very much for your time, energy, effort, everything that you guys do. We really, really, really appreciate it.
Online, we good? Everybody online got any questions?
We're clear.
Okay. All right, that must be a good instructor. All right, thanks, guys.